Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight I want to welcome Bryan McFadden to the show. We are going to rank the albums from Billy Squier. Get ready, this is a blast.
Grant is changing the world one track at a time on Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight I want to welcome Bryan McFadden to the show. We are going to do an album ranking of the solo catalog from Billy Squier. So if anybody knows Billy, you know, The Stroke. He's had great 80s hits. He was in the band Piper they formed in the mid 70s. They had a couple of albums out in the later 70s. First Billy Squier album came out in 1980. His debut album was The Tale of the Tape. We're going to look at all these records. But he really didn't take off until the 1981 Don't Say No album, which had, oh my God, The Stroke, In the Dark, Lonely as the Night, Catchy, hard rock, slick production. Mac was the producer. We're going to look at these. We're going to rate all of his records. We've got 9 albums, and we're just going to go back and forth. In fact, I think since we have 9, let's do 3 apiece.
All right.
And then we'll just go like that. So, all right, Bryan, welcome to the show. Nice to see you. How are you?
Good to have you back, Grant. Appreciate it.
Of course. So anyway, what are your 9, 8, and 7?
My 9, 8, and 7. My 9 is Happy Blue, and I love it, but it's not a hard rocker. It's bluegrass, blues, and does do a stripped down version of The Stroke without drums and all that. So basically, it's a stripped down version of, I guess, his influences or what he wanted to be or whatever he wanted to do. I guess
it's a drastic change from anything in his catalog.
I was gonna say it's like a one-off album from the other 8. So there's no big ton shoe, going on with the drums and stuff. But all right, so number 9 with the Happy Blue, it opens up with Happy Blues, and that's like a real bluegrass kind of song. Deep, a lot of guitar. It's just a lot of guitar on it, and with The Pursuit of Happiness and She Will, and then there's not like a whole lot of stuff that stands out for me. They all kind of blend together because they're all the same kind of acoustic formulations, I guess. And then my number 8 is Tell the Truth from 1993. And I think it's really funky. There's a lot of funk bass going throughout it. So that's kind of another little bit of one-off compared to all the other earlier albums as well. 1993 was also when I think he quit the business because he was jaded by the business. Another one of those.
I don't blame him. Bryan, each album he put out, it sold less and less. He peaked early. And I'm not saying any of these later albums I don't think he really put out a bad record, but he never got the spark that he had in 1981, in those early 80s records. But, everybody's got a timeline. Everybody's got a lifespan, but but to tell the truth, it's not a bad record, but
no,
I'm sure these have to rank somewhere for you. So,
right. There's a few of them that really stick out. And I remember there were a couple of hits off of this, but, the Angry it's like a hard rocker and, trying to walk a straight line, which it's like a hit or something that works, and then it's like a filler song, then it's another hit, and then it's like another filler song. He's always had these track formulations on all his albums, but just about everything is either 10 or 11 songs, which is it's a good well-rounded number. So it's not like an hour-long album. It hits right to the point, and 40 minutes or so, 38 minutes. So there's Rhythm, which is the 3rd song, and then Loving You Ain't So Hard. It's got like a Black Crowes feel for me. And I've noticed too, every time I'm going through something, listening to all these songs, I'm hearing like Tom Petty, I'm hearing Rolling Stones, I'm hearing some Zeppelin, I'm hearing, The Who, I'm hearing like all these, the big arena bands probably from when his heyday. And I'm really picking them out with either tones or like choruses or even some of the drum beats that are going on, which are, pretty sizzling. But
I see what you're saying because you listen to some of this later stuff, and I think that the earlier stuff, if you look, In the Dark, The Stroke. That is very unique sounding. I wouldn't, his earlier catalog, I really can't compare it to anything else. I think the earlier catalog is kind of an extension of where Piper left off to some degree, though they're totally
Yeah.
different bands. Piper's much more power pop, but it seems like he lost a lot of his individuality, if that makes sense. Because, like you said, you mentioned you hear a lot of these other different influences on these later records. And I don't hear that so
Yeah.
much on the earlier stuff. So,
Yep. I when I was listening to his interviews, he said that he was always trying to frame himself from Piper, but he was
Mhm.
always trying to up his game in Piper to frame himself as a guitarist, as something, you got to go see this band because, this guy. But he said that once he started doing his solo stuff and he started getting the right people in motion, he said it was easier to frame because it was easier to write because they were easier to get
well, he had a
along with.
great band. I'll give you that.
Oh yeah, he's got one of the best drummers ever,
Mhm.
ever. And Big Beat, that's like one of the most sampled songs ever. It's in
Yeah.
Run DMC and UTFO. Somebody else did it. Oh, Eminem used it too, I think. Or no, he might have
Well,
used the Stroke, not Big Beat.
I don't know. Someone's used the Stroke. Of course, that big drum pattern. Come on.
Yeah, yeah. Big Beat's just as good too. I don't know, it's just fun. But yeah, there's a lot of songs on Tell the Truth, and the girl's all right. It's really funky, and then there's a breakdown. It's like a ballad. So the breakdown's a ballad, and he's got a little bit of everything on here. And even with some of the this is more Pro Tools, but he's got like samples and things going on. He's got effects.
Well,
He's always
think
got
about it.
effects
It's
all the time.
1993.
Yeah, you're right. And then
Yeah, I'm
Mike,
not that crazy about the production so much, but whatever.
yeah, well, Mike Chapman, and he was a producer.
Oh, well,
And,
Mike Chapman did Sweet. You know, he
right. I
did.
can't read my writing. That's the problem I got.
He did the Knack first two Knack albums. He did Blondie.
Yeah.
He was a
Oh
big
yeah,
producer. Great
Blondie.
stuff.
That's right. He did do Blondie. Yep.
Mhm.
That's 90. And then 7, I got hold on. Enough is Enough from 1996.
Oh.
So I like that a little bit better than that one. But this one's more rocking.
Hmm.
So you got The Shot of Love, which reminds me of Tom Petty right there. Then Love is the Hero, which he did with Enough's Enough. And
Love is a
Freddie
Hero.
Mercury.
Wasn't that kind of a hit?
Yeah, it was. It
Yeah,
was.
not a big hit,
Oh,
but
not big.
it's a good song.
I think it was a summer hit. It kind of came and went.
Yeah.
But Lady with a Tenor Sax, which is good. But 96, can't remember. It sounds dated, for 1986, because it's a little.
Well,
I
it's
don't know.
the
I don't know if
production's
it's an old
starting to
song.
change.
Right.
That
Right.
record, I think, really starts to sound 80s sounding, where I think
Mhm.
everything that came before I can handle it a lot better.
All we have to give, he's got all that synth stuff in it, that 80s synth.
Yeah.
So, like you were saying, dated. And then there's Come Home. There's a lot of screaming guitar, and that's like a really fast rocker, which I like. I like it when he does the fast stuff. And then Break the Silence. It's another rocker. I have it at 3. I have it at 3 rockers: light rocker, medium rocker, and heavy rocker. Because they all rock. I
Hey,
don't know.
whatever works.
I didn't know how else to really, to call it for, light to easy to hard. And then Till It's Over. I don't know. The producer was Peter Collins on this,
Hmm.
the 1996. So he
And
did
he's
Rush.
the guy that worked with Rush.
Right, and they weren't a good fit. And you know what? Billy wasn't opposed to it, but he said that once he started writing, he kept changing stuff because this guy was more into like this big, nuance, epic prog stuff, right? Really cleaning up, and he cleaned up all his dirty tones and stuff. He wasn't happy about that either, and then he kind of let it go. But on this album, he was not happy with the production. He was happy with the record, but he wasn't happy with the overall how it came out because
Well,
again, he walked away in 93, so 96 he's coming back in, so he's still jaded is what I think. I still think he's got a little shine about the business.
probably. Well, after the whole T-shirt thing, but I've got a theory on that. But we'll get there when we talk about that record. The pink T-shirt.
I know.
That was never a
Signed
big deal back in the day. No one even cared.
Everybody wore pastel, and it was cool for Miami Vice. Everybody was wearing it back then.
Yeah, it was nothing
Yeah,
unusual.
you're talking this one. You're talking that album.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that one.
I know.
All right, so that's your number 7.
That's my number 7.
Yeah, I'm looking over because I thought he did a couple of. I can't remember because I'm looking it up. Okay, so Peter Collins did. Okay, well, this makes total sense. Peter Collins worked on Power Windows. He worked on Hold Your Fire. He was on Counterparts. I'm not a big fan of his work, but that's okay. I don't like Power Windows. I thought that everything went to hell, but that's a whole other show. All right, so my number 9, I'm going to go with Happy Blue from 1998. This did not chart. It didn't do anything. And like I mentioned before, as all these records, as he continued to put records out, they sold less and less from 1981. Key tracks, I know you've mentioned some of these. I think these are decent. It's not a bad record, but it has to go somewhere. And this isn't characteristic of what Billy is known for, though I appreciate him branching out, doing some blues, doing acoustic-based material. I don't have a problem with that. Key tracks for me, I think that the best thing, Happy Blues, Grasping for Oblivion, If You Would Hate Me Less, I'd Love You More, The Pursuit of Happiness. It's a decent record. It's nothing that's going to set the world on fire. And if you like Billy Squier 1981 The Stroke, this is not the record for you. Even though when it came out, even though this wasn't commercially successful, there were fans. It was a welcome return. It's nice to see that Billy put out something. Their critics liked the rawness. It was authentic, but it didn't do anything. No one cared anymore. And it's terrible, but it is what it is. And you're thinking about Billy Squier and how he was. 1998, no one really cared.
Bluegrass in 1998. That's what you're going to put out? That's what I was like, what? I didn't even buy the album. I didn't even buy it. I listened, I stream it, but how often are you going to pick that one?
But I mean, it's a mature effort. It's reflective. Yeah. It resonates with those that okay. If you like blues influenced acoustic music, you may like this record. You might want to check it out. Me, I never returned to it. All right, my number 6. I'm going to go with To Tell the Truth from 1998. Peaked on the Billboard chart at 123. Brian already mentioned some tracks. I'm going to say probably the best tracks on the record for me would be Angry, Trying to Walk a Straight Line, The Girl's All Right, Loving You Ain't So Hard. This is really this really is kind of his final studio album. When you think of Billy Squier, this is really his last record. Got mixed reviews. No one really cared by 1993. I mean, it got the 128, but it's kind of introspective. But I don't think it lacks that spark like it did in the earlier material. I don't think Billy fit in the 90s all that well. So that's my number 8. My number 7, I'm going to go with Creature of Habit. And it came out in 1991. It peaked at 117 on the chart. It just did a tad bit better than To Tell the Truth.
Yep.
This is also one of his weaker albums. I don't think that the songs are too memorable. I never returned to this record. Maybe I should listen to it more, but it's never resonated with me. There is a song on here. What's that?
Yeah. I found 3 singles off of that album.
Well, key tracks, I think She Goes Down, Facts of Life, Young at Heart.
Yeah.
Those are all good. The song She Goes Down is like a fan favorite. When he does live performances, fans love that one. That's probably the best track on the record. But again, 1991, man, it's been 10 years since they never play any of this stuff on the radio. I never heard any of it back in the day when it came out. So that's my number 7. It's all right. If you're a completist, these later records, when we get to the top 4, I think those are really where things are really happening.
Yeah.
All right, so that's my 7, Creature of Habit. What's your 6?
My number 6 is Creature of Habit as well, 1991.
Okay.
So yeah, but I got She Goes Down. I have that definitely highlighted. I remember this album. I do remember some stuff being on the radio, but it was brief because it is
Yeah,
Boston, right?
I
So
just
then,
don't think it connected, but whatever.
well, Nerves of Ice was good. A lot of keyboard, a lot of flute stomp, a lot of rudiments in that too. A great breakdown in it. Then the Hands of Destruction, which is kind of it's some filler songs. Facts of Life, it's another single that was I've seen that on VH1. I've seen that on there before. And then LOVE, another stadium anthem. He's got a lot of these stadium anthem ones. Strange Fire, that's Quick Rocker. And the other thing too with his albums, this is one thing that really, his inconsistency that bothered me, because sometimes it'd be a really rocking album, and then the last song, second side, would be a ballad or something soft, and it's like it doesn't make you want to flip it over again. That's I think that's why these are so high up. But yeah, again, Creature of Habit, they finished on a ballad, and I wrote that down, like finished on a ballad, finished on a rock, finished on a ballad. So, but yeah, that's one thing I noticed that was not consistent for me.
All right, cool. What's your number 5?
Number 5, yep, I got everything out of order. Tale of the Tape, 1980.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I love that one. So my top 5, they could definitely vary or move, from month to month depending on the mood. Yeah, you got the big beat, can't beat that song. Song is crazy. Again, the most sampled song in hip hop and R&B. What's this one? Calio, which is a lot of keyboards, acoustical, kind of a pop song. You got Rich Kid, that's a rocker. Like I'm Loving You is a big breakdown. It's another ballad, but it's got good guitar breakdowns in the middle. And then Who Knows? Can't read my writing. Who Knows What a Love Can Do? And that's a zippy keyboard rocker. I like it. It reminds me of Lou Reed or something of that nature. And you should be High Love. Sounds like Zeppelin. Who's Your Boyfriend? That's a poppy rocker. The music all right, soft. And then Young Girls, a strong closer with cool guitar. I said. And then I don't know my number 4. Signs of Life, 1984.
All right.
I got these right.
Wow, all these I've totally different.
Yeah. But he had the same band, he had the same guys on. But Billy's been on with Capitol all his whole career. I don't know any other band that's really done that, but maybe Zeppelin.
He must have had a pretty good contract when they signed him.
Signs of Life came out. Of course, we have the video controversy with Rock Me Tonight. And then there's a lot of hits on this one. I got a lot of things highlighted. But they renegotiated his contract after that. After he told MTV to pull that video 2 weeks after, which they did. But it was on for 2 weeks. Damage has already been done. And what happened was he had this for the video. He had this one guy that had an idea. He was going to be going into a bar on a big white stallion. It was going to be one of these dream sequence kind of things. Something happened and it didn't work out. And he ended up hiring a friend of his to do this. That asked, and he really wanted to be involved with the project, the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And he just let him go with his artistic creativity. And he regretted it, but he trusted the director. He figures that there would be a lot of editing and some other stuff mixed in, but it's just him dancing around on the bed. So
yeah, but when that came out at the time, I don't buy that ruined his career. I think I don't think it did either, because when that came out, no one thought twice about that. That's just what people were doing then. So what, he wore a pink shirt, he was flopping around the floor. I don't give a shit. No one thought twice about it. The problem, we've talked about this on my channel. What I think it happened is that his career peaked in 1981. He had a rapid climb. He peaked early, he never could get that same success or that magic that he had on Don't Say No. And every album after that kept going down. And by the time he got to, what year was that? 84? 84. He's selling less and less. Look, Don't Say No was number 5. Emotions in Motion was number 5. Signs of Life went to 11. Things are starting to go down. It's not much, but no one thought about that video until later. And I think someone just had to blame something. But let's be honest, his records weren't as good as what they were before.
Okay. I'll give you that.
I mean, you can't, Don't Say No is a pretty perfect record, but you can't, and the Piper albums are pretty damn perfect. I just don't think, I just think it was a gradual thing and music was changing and it just happened. I don't think it had anything to do with that video. If you know anything about that down in the comments, please let us know what you think. Because when I lived through it, we didn't think twice about it. Right. I liked the song. The video didn't hurt it. It was a big hit.
I didn't mind the video. I didn't mind. I liked the song. So
yeah.
But yeah, there's some, All Night Long, which I like, and Rock Me Tonight I like, and Eye on You, which is another single. So we had 3 singles off of this, if not 4 maybe.
Yeah.
Take a Look Behind You. It's a great hit, but it didn't make it. Reach for the Sky, which is a great solo.
I think it's a good record. I don't think Jim Steinman was the guy you wanted. It's very synth heavy. Billy's known for a guitar-based band, and to go really synth-heavy like it did, even though there's some good tracks, I don't think that's exactly what people wanted. And then after that, I don't think he ever knew exactly what he should be doing. That's my theory.
Yeah. Can't Get Next to You, big drums, fat guitar, and then the Hand-Me-Downs, which is a rock with a great solo, but a stripped-down acoustic version is how he ended that album, with like an uppity high closer. It was, I don't know. I didn't like the way it ended. Doesn't make me want to flip it. After I hear it once, goes right back in rotation.
Yeah, it's just not quite what it is. I mean, he captured lightning in a bottle before. I would have. I'm surprised that didn't last. We only had that for like 2 records. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But Capitol also could have said, you know what? Yeah, these have been all right hits, but we really need something. We need a big hit. Who knows what went on? I don't know. All right, so what number was that? Was that number 5? That was 4. All right, cool. All right. My number 6, I'm gonna go with Here and Now from 1989. Like I mentioned before, I don't think Billy knew exactly what to do, because you've got this record, came out in 1989, had his last Billboard Top 40 hit with Don't Say You Love Me, which is a great song. I love it. This record rocks. It's back to the old Billy. I don't think necessarily like it's some of his best work, but I'll take it. Don't Say You Love Me is great. Tied Up is great. Stranger to Myself is great. My Machine's great. But, I mean, there's not really any synths on here. And it's a little bit more edgier, a little bit more less polished, because Signs of Life, I mean, Enough's Enough is pretty, it's kind of pretty polished. Peter Collins. I like this record a lot more, but it's still at my number 6 because there are ones I like better. But I do think it's more of a return to form. Songwriting, even though there's Don't Say You Love Me is great. That's up with anything else that he's ever written. Yep. But it still couldn't say.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big album when it came out. It came out of nowhere, and it was nice to actually have something in the late 80s, before everything took a dive in the 90s.
I mean, I almost could flip this in my number 5, but it's fine. I'm going to leave it where it is. Some of these middle down, but I think my top 4 is very solid. All right, my number 5, I'm going to go with Enough's Enough from 1986. This, like I said, this peaked higher on the Billboard chart. This got to number 61. Here and Now got up to 64. So it performed a little bit better, but not too much. He's not losing a whole lot. Now, Here and Now and Enough's Enough, I could flip back and forth, because depending on the day, I might like Here and Now better. And on another day, I might like Enough's Enough's better. I like Enough's Enough. It's a lot more polished, but I do think there's some good songs. Love is a Hero is a classic. What can I say? That is a wonderful track. Shot of Love's fine. Lady with a tenor sax is good. Conscientious Point, I think that's okay. But you do see Billy experimenting on this record, stretching out a bit more. But this really was a commercial disappointment. This might be the worst selling record he ever put out. Because the other records at least went platinum. This didn't, 300,000? So, and was it because he rolled around in a pink shirt? Well, you know, back then, if you remember, he had to blame this on something. And he could easily blame the pink shirt incident here, because I didn't hear anything about the pink shirt incident until much later. So maybe that's to blame on the poor quality. Maybe the record's just not as good as what came before. It could be that. But like I said, he's experimenting. You've got Love is a Hero. You got Freddie Mercury's on this track. So that's kind of cool. But, well, you have to admit, Love is a Hero is pretty damn good. It's okay. Tonight it's going to be at my number 5. My number 4. Now, this is all the great stuff. Tale of the Tape from 1980. Of course, no one knew anything. The Piper stuff. Piper never sold back in the day either, and this didn't sell either. This only got up to 169. They did 2 albums. Oh my God, Piper's great. You like power pop? I actually like. I probably like the Piper stuff better. But anyway, the Tale of Tape. It's a true Billy Squier album. This sounds like a Billy Squier record. And you already mentioned this. Well, you mentioned the big beat and how it was sampled. It's very influential. I don't think it's a great song. I don't think it's quite as catchy. I think he really came to his own in 1981 with Don't Say No, but there's some good songs on here. You Should Be High, Love. The Big Beat's a classic, of course. Collio, that's good. Like I'm Loving You is good. But it lays the groundwork. We wouldn't have Don't Say No if we didn't have this record.
I got a story about this record. The production of this, Tale of the Tape. They had already finished up the whole album. And you know that one song where it's all the backwards guitars going into it?
Yeah.
They did that in the studio, and what they did was they recorded it full on. They didn't have, I guess, the know-how, or maybe they didn't, it's for Pro Tools and stuff again. But they took the tape and they spliced it and flipped it, right? And then they put it back together, and then that's how you get that sound. So when you say Tale of the Tape, that's the one thing that sticks out to me. It should have been called Trick of the Tape, but I think that would be a Genesis response. Who knows? Trick of the Tail, but whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I like this record. I don't have any issue with it. Some people may look at the Piper stuff as worse or better, like maybe Billy really hadn't come into his own, but man, there are some great tracks on those Piper albums, and if you haven't heard them, anyone out there, please go out and check them out, because I think they're well worth listening to. Great. There's some great power pop. They were a good band.
He got a lot of advice from, I guess, one of his past singers. They said, you got to sing from the diaphragm. So since 1974, he's been working on his chops so he could do his solo album, which he wrote.
I think he still sounds fine on the Piper stuff.
Years to figure. Yeah, I know. Right. But he got all this advice because he was really going to go all in. He's a triple threat. He writes, he sings, and he's like full control.
Right. Well, anyway, these top 4, I would recommend all of them when I'm, going through them. So anyway, Tale of the Tape's my number 4. So, all right, cool. What's your next 3?
My number 3, 1989 is Here and Now. And I really like this album a lot, and it sticks out, and it's a good
I can see it. I can see it at number 3. I can see it.
For me, it's a good, driving album. You can put it in, and you know what I mean? It's a good cruising album. Again, with Rock Out, Punch Somebody, that's like another anthem hit that he's had from, from the beginning. So they have that again back in 1989. It's awesome. But I never saw him live. I never got the opportunity to see him live, so I couldn't tell you how any of this played out later. And then this Stranger, that's kind of it's a soft build up with keyboards, the saxophone in it, which is fine, but it's a softie. And Don't Say You Love Me, single, strong rocker. Don't Let Me Go. Oh, fantastic guitars. That was a single. Don't Let Me Go was a single. Don't Say You Love Me was a single. Tied Up. Good solid rocker. Good rocking song. I Put a Spell on You, which is strong on the keyboards, which is very good. And then a God, which is a cool little riff, and the chorus really shines on that. And then Me Tonite, another ballad. The Work Song, big band rhythm, big brass. That one I really like. I got that asterisk, so I like that one. Your Love Is My Life. How do you go on that? See that one? He went out on a big guitar note on that one on the end of Here and Now for me. So it wasn't like a weak ballad rocker again. Now my number 2,
Mm-hmm.
the Andy Warhol cover, Emotions in Motion.
Yeah, good record.
Oh, I love it. And I bought that on cassette. I didn't have it on record, but I found it again. So, but yeah, Everybody Wants You from 1982. The Andy Warhol again with the cover art, which I didn't know he was still alive at 82. Did you? I thought he was gone in like the 70s.
No.
Yeah, Emotions in Motion. I got a big heart next to it. Learn How to Live. I like In Your Eyes, which I like. Keep Me Satisfied. It's just filler rocker. Keeps You Rocking. It's a good foot stomper. And One Good Woman. That's a funk-based song. That's a good one. She's a Runner. It's poppy rocker. Catch 22. More like a drums and like R&B with great solos. And then Listen to the Heartbeat. It was a very strong closer for that album. And my number 1.
Gee, I wonder what it is.
Gee, out of 9. You didn't say
Yeah,
it at all. Don't say no, please. Don't say no. Beautiful record. To me, this is front-loaded and back-loaded. Everything about this record is incredible. The drums, the production, even the way that the tracks fall in line, it's a good flow. So you got a heavy, you got a kind of a medium, you got like a heavy rocker, then you got an uplifting one. But yeah, In the Dark, The Stroke, My Kind of Lover, that's like a triple threat right there. Just
Oh God, yes.
on side one. And then You Know What I Like, which that's kind of, I think that's the weakest song on the album, in my opinion. And then 2 Days Gone, which I love. I love singing that. That's up there with like a nice Zeppelin chorus singing, Lonely as the Night, side 2. That's a great way to start off that second side. And What Do You Want From Me? And then, Nobody Knows. I Need You. And then Don't Say No, which Nobody Knows, for me, I got an asterisk by it. I like that. Reminds me of the Beatles. It sounds like, everybody's got their Beatles hit. It's on Don't Say No. Yeah, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
A strong album, fun. Any party, backyard barbecue, you can throw that on. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing.
It's a good summer album, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Have a cookout, throw it on.
Summer written albums, yeah.
Right.
Maybe some of these other ones that were later on in the list, maybe they were written in the winter or something.
Well, I think a lot of these later albums suffer from the fact that Mac wasn't the producer anymore. I think look at Mac with Billy Squier as like his George Martin or his Terry Brown. These bands, Mac was only around for 2 records, but my God, 2 great records. Yeah. I would have liked to seen what he would have done with Signs of Life. It probably would have been a much different record. It probably would have been just as strong as what came before. So I miss Mac. I'm not a big Mac fan. I don't care what Mac brought to Queen at all.
Right.
And I think he was really great with ELO. I think that was perfect. And I think he was great with Billy Squier.
Billy Squier.
Yeah, he knew exactly what to do with the material. Look, The Stroke is a brilliant production. All of them are brilliant. All the guitars sound great. They all ring out. The drums sound great. They all have energy. He knew how to, he knew what Mac knew what he was doing with Billy. And that's why these later albums, I think, suffer because there's no Mac.
Sold 600 million albums. Actually, it sold 6,000,000
Yeah, well, there's a reason
albums. 6
why.
million here, 250,000, I guess, in Europe or over there. I don't think he's very big over in Europe. I don't think
I
he's ever
don't
done
think
like a
so.
tour, but I'm sure he's done something.
Yeah.
Because he was big with, he was taking Bon Jovi out with him when they were new. He was taking Def Leppard out with
Well,
them when they were new.
they were a big act back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
Arenas.
Arenas, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
that's pretty amazing. I missed all that. I was too young. I was still roller skating on Saturday afternoon listening
you
to
should
the
be out
Stroke.
roller skating right now, Brian, for God's sakes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What are you sitting here? You should be out roller skating. All right. My top three,
And
probably going to be very similar. My number three, I'm going to go Signs of Life. This got to number 80. It's got to number 11 on the Billboard chart. What's good. That's a great, great thing. And we've been talking about Rock Me Tonight. Great song. It got to number 1 on the mainstream rock charts. That's good. And you're blaming the t-shirt thing? It was a number 1 single on the mainstream rock chart. How is that bad? People didn't care about that video. Things just were changing. This was his last big record. Now, Mac,
different. A lot of people they keep talking about that video. I'm glad you see it different because I don't see it.
it's not the video.
Either,
That's an excuse.
It's in the Eddie Trunk interviews too. In 2011, he was blaming the director. But you're right.
Of course he was. He's bitter. He's bitter.
I think so.
I get it. It was terrible. He was had such a great career and things just went sour. Feel bad because I think I'm just trying to rewrite history. If Max had stuck around, I'd love to have heard what Mac would have done with this record. Or Enough Is Enough. Would Enough Is Enough sound like it did? I don't think so. I think Mac knew what to do. So anyway, this is I don't have a problem with this record. I don't think Jim Steinman's the right guy, but okay. Rock Me Tonight's great. All Night Long is great. Eyes on You's great. Can't Get Next to You's okay. But it's got solid songwriting. This is the last record with really good songwriting in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, it's energetic. Yeah, it might be a little bit synth heavy, but it might be a little polished. I know, but it's okay. I don't have a problem with this. And I don't buy the whole t-shirt thing. My number 2, I'm going to go with Emotions in Motion, 1982. Mac is here. This got up to number 5. You've heard all these songs. It's a great record. It's almost as good as Don't Say No. Key tracks, of course, Everybody Wants You sounds just like Don't Say No. All this does. Emotions in Motion, a little bit more experimental, I think. Kind of moody, kind of they used to play that all the time on the radio, and I haven't heard it forever. Keep Me Satisfied. Great. Learn How to Live. Got strong radio play. It's a good record. This is almost as good as Don't Say No. Almost.
Yep.
It sounds the same pretty much. Billy's stretching out a little bit more on here, but that's fine. But Billy, you listen to this. He's a super. Listen, Everybody Wants You. Billy's a superstar. He is rock and roll. Everybody Wants You is an anthem. That is a rock anthem. Come on. And like I said, album production, great. And you've got more contributions from Queen members, which you should because, Mac's in here. And, Mac was working with Queen. So I'm good with this record. I think it's great. Got great artwork by Andy Warhol. You already mentioned that. But on the title track, you've got Freddie Mercury and Roger Taylor singing on it. So I dig it. I think it's good. A great record. Love this record. Love it. Okay, number 1, of course. We're going to go with Don't Say No. Got up to number 5 on the chart. This is his masterpiece. Nothing's weak on it. The sequencing on this record's perfect. Key tracks, of course, the stroke. That was my gateway drug to Billy. I bought the 45 when I heard it. I couldn't believe it. There was nothing else like that out hitting the airwaves like the stroke back in 1981. Nothing like it. Great. Lonely as the Night. Perfection. All great riffs. In the Dark's great. My Kind of Lover. Look at that. 4 songs just absolutely phenomenal. I'm looking at the whole track lineup. Freaking phenomenal record. The only thing that is kind of maybe a little bit, I don't know. But think of this. You talked about this. It starts off with In the Dark, then The Stroke, My Kind of Lover, You Know What I Like, 2 Days Gone. Side 2 opens up with Lonely as the Night. Jeez, me, Christmas. Nobody Knows. That's a John Lennon tribute. There's nothing weak on this record. It's a great record. If you haven't got Don't Say No, do yourself a favor and get it. And I will say this, if you like this, you like Emotions in Motion, even if you like Signs of Life, if you like at least the first 4, A Tale of the Tape, well, you might want to branch out and check out some of those later albums. Probably Here and Now, if you like that early period. Like I said, I could rank that, and Enough is Enough. They could flip-flop. It just depends. Right. Songwriting on Enough is Enough might be a bit better. That's why I rate it higher. But, man, I do like the sound of the Here and Now. And Don't Say You Love Me is a classic. So maybe you just want to pick up a best of. I don't know. Your mileage may vary, but...
Yeah, he's got 2 compilations of all the greatest hits, and they're both different. One's like 2 CDs. He's got all the CDs. They all came out on Rock Candy or whatever, 2008. And then he did something with Spotify 2011. So all his
because I think all the, other than maybe the anniversary edition of Don't Say No might be in print. I don't think any of the other ones are in print in the United States anymore, I don't think. You might be able to get Emotions in Motion. That still might be in print. I don't know.
I was 9 years old when Don't Say No came out, and I owe him a lot because he got me away from Kiss.
Well, there's nothing wrong with Kiss.
Oh, yeah, it was great. He's got a greatest hits CD that's pretty thick. It's 2 CDs, so I would imagine it's over 2 hours of music.
Yeah, I'm looking on Rock Candy. Let me see what's in. I'm just curious if.
There was another one too. Universal owns something Patriot Records.
On
he's on that too.
I don't know. The only thing that I'm seeing in print right now on Rock Candy, you might be able to find it though. They still have The Tale of the Tape in print. You can buy it, but I don't see that's the only Billy Squier album that's
available.
Mm-hmm. The other ones,
I don't know. He's moved everything to, like I said, to Spotify. So I guess you'd have to look there.
But if you want physical media, you can find it. Right. It's out there. Yeah. Look in the used bins, though. As often as I go and look in the used bins, I don't see much Billy Squier anymore.
These are $1 albums. Yeah, you can find them for $1, $2.
They still a $1 record?
Yeah, yeah, you can find them up there. I paid whatever, $10, $12 for mine. I didn't pay too much. This is years ago.
Well, I don't know. Those $1 records now are like $8 records, so might have changed. All right, cool. We ranked them.
You don't see them much in the wild anymore. That's another thing. You don't see them in the wild. If you do, grab them.
We're just here to talk music and turn you on. So hopefully you want to check out the Billy Squier catalog. If you're familiar with Billy, please leave a comment below. We want to hear from you. I look at all the messages, and I'd like to know what your thoughts are on Billy Squier and his career. Even you want to mention Piper, mention Piper. I don't care. I love Piper. So we're just here to talk music. So what's next on the channel? Probably this. I don't know. I'm kind of caught up. So always something coming out. Always something coming out. And this will be out, but I do want to promote this on Sea of Tranquility with Pete Pardo. On Sunday, we will be looking at the band The Hunt. So if you haven't heard The Hunt, you might want to check out this show because this is one of those bands no one's talking about, and they're really great. So check it out on Sunday on Sea of Tranquility. We haven't taped it yet, but man, I'm looking forward to it because Such a great band that no one talks about. So we'll see you over there. But other than that, we've got the Wednesday live chat on the Contrarians. Always tune into that. That's happening every Wednesday for the most part. We do take off days every now and then, but for the most part, we're over there doing that. So I want to thank Mr. McFadden for coming on. Nice to see you. Nice talking some music, and we'll see Bryan again. And Bryan, keep it real. We'll see you later. See you, everybody.